Good evening. I'd like to call the Northwood Board of Selectmen meeting to order at 6 p.m. on July 25th, 2017. We'll now do roll call and the Pledge of Allegiance.
DJ Huston here.
Scott Pryor here.
Everybody's here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Can't see it. There's a big pile of bids in front of it.
Guess we're going to move on to citizens forum. If anybody has any public comment they would like to make, now is the time to step forward. Go ahead, whoever's first. They're pointing fingers.
On the line.
Come on, Dave.
Wow, geez, nobody wants to get up here to face you guys.
Hi, Dave Ruth, Beth Boudreau, Amy Hanavan, if I said that right. We are members of the Recreation Commission. We're here today as 3 citizens to talk to you for a brief minute. We are going to we are in the process of forming a nonprofit group, and could be called the Friends of Northwood Recreation, if it hasn't already been taken yet, but we'll have a name if that's already taken. And our sole purpose will be to raise money for playground equipment, to build a playground in Northwood, separate from the school. We're here tonight to just inform this group and make it public and let the selectmen know, because the one thing we will probably be coming in the future to you for is a spot of land at the Northwood ball fields. That's where, right now is where we would like to put it, in that area. I think it would be great for Northwood right now. If you have grandkids or if you're a young family and you want to take your kids somewhere to a playground, there is nothing in Northwood. So that's our goal, is to start raising equipment to donate to the town. That's just for information tonight. We would like to get on your agenda probably by September. We'll talk to Joe and get on the agenda, and then we should have a more positive plan about maybe where up on those fields we would like it, and we'll work with the town. We also are on the Rec Commission, so we will also probably be working to, whether we come up with a warrant article or whether we come up with something else for the town, or Joe could write a grant to help buy equipment too. That's the main goal. Second thing we're here for tonight, as Recreation Commission members, different hat, is we would, I guess, we're hearing different ideas or different things about where you are going to put I call it just a big canopy, but I guess its fancy name's a pavilion. Okay. And as I was on the Recreation Committee, also on the Facilities Committee, and at the Facilities Committee, it was all discussed, and we tried different places. We were talking about different places, and we came up with having that pavilion in the middle of a grove of trees where we have the Halloween. The last few years, it's been a Halloween spooky walk. Idea being, you've got a perimeter of nice trees. You already have a nice soft areas, a lot of black mulch. There would be a minimum at the time that I looked at it, probably from 6 to 10 little trees, most of them 3 to 4 inches, 3 or 4 of them at 6 to 10 inches, one was at 12 inches. That's just me, just doing a rough count. And we thought that would be a good spot because you are near the 2 ball fields, the soccer fields, lacrosse, the t-ball, where you have over 6 months of use, and at times you have over 100 people there with kids, with the potential. That's why we're thinking the pavilion would be best there. Where we heard you were going to put it is down the back, where we have a locked gate, so there's no access to a pavilion. And I've been looking at those fields, and I've been involved in recreation and building fields for about 20 plus years. those fields are probably 2 to 5 years away. Unless we all come up with a bunch of money. Again, my opinion. So we think it would be better served to have the pavilion down where the fields are really being used right now. That's all.
Just had a quick question. So you're saying, it was my understanding, and I have gone down there, so you're saying that
looked at
field
it.
hasn't been, what's going on with the ball?
That field, if it isn't mowed shortly, I see those little, what do you call it? Sumac, what do you call it? I call it poison sumac. I don't know if it's poison sumac, but those little trees that grow
Bamboo
in.
and stuff.
Yeah, it's, and you have to cut those to keep them out. They start beating the grass up, and what little grass is there in the outfield is really in tough shape. I don't think there's gotta be a ton of work. I'm talking about at least gotta be mowed and probably mowed and picked up so that they're not all laying around there. But that field is still, that grass is not gonna be ready for a baseball field next year. And
The
probably
baselines
even
need to be
longer.
kept weeded too. The baselines, if you let them go, they're gonna grow in, and then it's gonna be a nightmare too. We knew that when we started, and
That's all.
who's gonna do it, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, everything has a cost and it's labor, I
They bored
understand.
kids into playing baseball.
That was, again, we'd like to get on the agenda, and I've even talked to Joe. I said, if you want to do anything with ball fields, just please call me. At least I have some ideas, doesn't mean I'm right, but
Right.
we have, and I also know the population of kids in the town. It isn't so much that we have 4,000 people in town, but 500 of them are kids, and 300 of those are 12 and under, and that's what I look at. But that's all, I didn't mean to take any more.
No,
of your
that's
time.
fine. The only comment I'm gonna make is we have an abutter there that doesn't want the thing abutting their property. We had problems in the past when we built the ball fields, and they do not want it abutting their property right there.
And the spot that we picked, we actually looked at the spot, and if we trim a couple trees where the little reservoir is
Right.
between the soccer field and where we're gonna put the pavilion, you'll actually be able to see all the fields from the pavilion, not just the soccer field.
You're gonna see, you're gonna see 1,200 feet up to the other field?
It's not that far, we're not going
that far,
1,200 feet, we're going right on the side of the field, we're literally going on the other side of the catch pond, we're not going all the way up in the
And
corner.
I gotta tell you,
We actually walked it.
I forgot about that. That's right. The reason we weren't gonna put it in that grove is because the feedback that we got is that neighbor does not want any more attention drawn to that section.
Well, I'll respond to that. I lived on Route 4 for over 30 years, and I don't like people talk to me about traffic. And we have one person or two people, and now we're gonna put the 150 to 200 kids and their parents. I think we've got a way, I don't mind the people objecting to certain things, but, you know, I've been involved in those fields for a long time. And so, they were gonna be sold to the people who have the condos right next door, so that abutter would have had 30 buildings right on her sideline. We did that person a
Well,
favor.
no, we took that land before the condos went up.
That's right, and you had a selectman on this, you had a selectman sitting there that was trying to sell that land to that condo development.
But
So again, that's all hearsay.
at the time,
Right.
there was no condo development there.
Oh, yes, there was.
No, there wasn't. I was a selectman when they took the land. The condo development, with the condos hadn't even gotten built yet. There might have been plans, but I don't think they got approved by the planning board or any of that until after we made the purchase.
Again, we've all got a history. Our goal is to say, we really think that where you want to put that pavilion now is not going to be used for a while, and we can have
a pavilion there and in phase two, but to work on phase one will be, to put a playground with a pavilion with picnic tables and benches for the town to use, and then, phase two, whatever, work on a pavilion up in the upper field.
Thank you for your time.
I just want to say, I drove in there today, I noticed one picnic table has been broke, and there's another
that
one
out
that
there.
looks like it's in the process of being broke. We've had problems at the beach in Northwood, all the tables up there have been broken this summer, and I hope the trend isn't gonna continue down there, that every table there gets
Maybe behind a
busted.
lock gate might not be a bad idea.
My history over the years is every 4 to 5 years, you have a group that destroys things. When I had baseball stuff, then everything would be fine, a good group of people, and then unfortunately, it's runs
It
in
happens.
cycles.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
so much for your time.
Anybody else that would like to speak? Step forward.
Jim
evening,
Valancourt,
Jim.
34 Cove Way. I was here about... I hope you edit that out. I was here about a month ago when you had a public session, and so I was listening, and all three of you in different languages said that you believed you were going to have a hard time meeting budget this year. So I went home and pulled down April 2017, April 2016. I compared the two. They're right smack on. And yep, there's more money encumbered in the transfer station this year than there was last year, but we budgeted a lot more there this year than last year. There's some money encumbered, more money encumbered for the assessment this year than last year. There's about $70,000 left in the snowplow, so I don't see that as an issue in December. So I'm wondering if you could elaborate or explain why you think we're going to have trouble. One more point, sorry. So I called Sandy the next day, and Sandy put May up on the website, and I pulled both Mays down, and I looked at them, and nothing had changed from May to April to May. It's still right smack on where it should be. I don't understand. I was surprised, and I'm wondering if there's something that you see in the financial horizon that we don't, and if you could elaborate on that.
I would just like to say that I don't remember making a statement as far as the budget. I'm not a real numbers guy, and normally I try to stay out of that type of thing because of the lack of experience, which I will admit. And if I said something that I thought we were going to run short, I would say that I misquoted it.
I know.
Because I don't have any idea that we're,
I don't know, we might have said, I might have said something about if we were gonna do something else. No.
It was
We were
mentioned
talking
here.
about the fire truck in the warrant article, I believe, and we said, they were talking about some jaws of life, and we said, well, if you didn't put that in the original warrant article, there's really, you should put that in your operating budget if you needed it, or put it in a separate warrant article. We talked about that.
We were talking about something else too, Scott.
Yeah.
It was brought up that we
I
might.
don't think we actually came in and said, we don't have enough money to finish the year. I mean, I'm not saying we could have said something about money, but I don't know if we specifically said we didn't have it. I don't recall that.
I think it was something about the ADS or something we were talking about, and we thought it was gonna be more than what we said. And then it was just discussed briefly that it was gonna be, budget was tight, whether it was something that was said. I don't remember exactly what was said.
Software?
It was something along those lines we were talking about, something about that general vicinity, and I believe it was you that said it. I'm not pointing fingers.
not either.
No, I think it was Joe that said it. I'm not pointing fingers, but I think you said something about budget. We asked if we could, the extra cost that it was gonna be, if we could handle it.
Yeah, I actually found it, we were talking about the actuarial bid, which we weren't gonna make budget if it was the higher number, but we're completely in budget. Actually under by 1,000 for that particular project.
So maybe it was just misworded or misinterpreted.
I think that's what it was.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not saying you didn't read what you thought or whatever, but thanks for your comment. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize down the road.
Okay, move on.
Moving on, anybody else got any public comment?
Tim Colby, 36 Bryant Road. I know you guys had talked about on one of the meetings I saw on TV this weekend about the gazebo. I just went down through the town of Lee this past weekend with my son, and they got, it probably looks like a 30 by 40, beautiful gazebo, so I don't know what money, that cost that, but that's something worth looking to. Right on 155, where the playground is, so it's something is, just like what you guys had talked about, the poles, the concrete floor. I was gonna stop and take some pictures, but there was having a birthday party there, so, but it's something to look into, so. The town of Lee.
Is it in the center of town?
It's on 155, right in the center.
Right near the
West
school?
School, and
Yep.
head at 155 towards the environment, follow that out, it's right
Yep.
on the right, where a couple years ago, Hartman did a bunch of crushing.
Did they throw a sign up and who built it?
I know, I didn't go into the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say, usually they'll put a sign built by
It's
something.
right in town park, so it's.
I'll check into it, I'll take a look at it. Thank you. Anyone else have any comment? I guess seeing no comment, I guess we'll move on to public hearing if we have one.
No public hearing.
Hearing. All right, we'll move on to appointments. Is Mr. Stone here?
Hi, thank you, gentlemen, for putting
You
me
can
on
come
the
to the
list.
table if you'd like.
Oh,
Good evening.
evening. So I wanted to come here today to try and start a dialogue with the board. I'm on the Municipal and County Government Committee, so I'd really like to put in legislation that would make the administration of the town go smoother. I'd also like to, again, just have a dialogue. I've written some notes about what's been going on at the House, just at the State House in general over the past year that directly has to do with Northwood, and I'd just like to go through them, if I may. So we provide an additional $5 million in meals and room distributions, and for Northwood specifically, that would increase the meals and rooms distributions from around $421,000 to around $438,000. So it's a little bit of an increase today. The governor just signed SB 38 today, and that provides quite a lot for local infrastructure aid for Northwood. It was already around $100,000 for FY17. This bill gives Northwood an additional $87,000.
So we're gonna get 187 this year from the block grant?
Right.
When do those funds become available?
I'm not sure. It's just
It's
signed.
the next,
That's appropriated this year?
Yep.
It got appropriated, but with that block grant, I don't collect the road toll.
It's extra.
Well,
I'll look into it if you want to know.
Thank you.
If you want to know precisely when. Our budget also fully funds adequacy aid that we passed this year.
fully funds?
Yep. For special education aid, anyways. We also tried to reduce, I voted in favor of the kindergarten bill, try and save the town some money, since the kindergarten thing was happening no matter what. A bill that I took note of that went through Municipal and County Government Committee was HB 316, which was passed into law, and it provides property tax exemptions for commercial and industrial construction. And I believe that's anywhere from 1 to 10 years. So if you want to encourage someone to build property here for a business, you can set a contract for however long you want to exempt that construction from taxation. That doesn't include the actual property, the land. So it might be a great way to encourage businesses to come in here. And that's all I've got. Just want to start a dialogue, make myself available whenever to you gentlemen or anyone else in town. I'd like to put in some legislation, so if there's anything on your mind.
I was just asking, because Jim Hadley sent the Board of Selectmen a letter. Did you get a copy of that?
Yeah, I've got it right here.
So I just bring that to your attention. He had some comments in there about suggestions, I guess. I'll
Yes.
put it that way.
Yep, message received.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
nice
for your time.
meeting you.
Guess we're moving on to the recycling committee next.
I don't know if you guys got a copy of that, but sorry.
Good evening again, gentlemen.
Good evening.
The recycling committee would like to, has sent ahead of time a proposal for 2 items. The first is to purchase a new building to replace the battery and fluorescent light bulb buildings and to add covered space to move the appliances out of the weather. And the second is a change in the plastics recycling policy. We believe that the transfer station footprint is too large for the current staffing levels and that things need to be shrunk in. We believe that the burn pit is the canary in the coal mine, and there's stuff in the burn pit that just doesn't belong there. Occasional processed lumber shows up in the burn pit is understandable, but 2 weeks ago there were 6 cardboard beer containers, a broken bedroom chest of drawers, pressure-treated lumber, and leaves there. The swap shop is overrun with electronics and garbage. There were refrigerators and tires, most of the time out in the weather, and they were there out in the weather on Sunday. So we're recommending in phase 1 of shrinking this footprint of a $5,000 building, $4,500 for a roofed sided building and $500 to put it up and to pad it. This would be the temporary daily housing of non-ferrous metals. Long-term storage of non-ferrous metals is down in the building, and we believe that should remain that way. The light bulbs would be removed out of the truck body and into this new building. The batteries would be removed out of the old building, which is where we're proposing to put the new building and gotten rid of, and that the refrigerators could be placed in the back of this building.
Okay. Can we comment now?
Yes.
All right, so I've done a little bit of research. The building that you want, how are you going to get the refrigerators out with an 8-foot door? You ain't going to get a machine in there, for one. For two, how much are we making on the ferrous metals? We've been doing it for a year, haven't seen any numbers to support that we should keep doing it. 3, this is not a need, this is just something that it's a want. So do we need to go to this extent? How many batteries do we do a year? 50 to 100? Everybody stores their refrigerators and stuff outside, so it's not like we're doing anything that nobody else is doing. That's just my thoughts on the process. I think we need a new building for the batteries. I think a 20 by 20 metal building with a garage door is a little excessive. It's just my opinion. Especially when the town taxpayers paid money for a building that we're not using for that purpose. Anybody else?
Right now, I'm just reading this, that's all.
Yeah, we just barely got
I
this.
just
We didn't-
barely
we didn't
got
get
this.
this
and
earlier.
I haven't even had a chance to look at it. I'm not trying to be rude, but
Read it.
So are you proposing, I'm just looking at your, are you proposing the, if I look at appendix E, is that what you're proposing, that, building that costs $4,300?
Appendix A is the 4-sided metal structure
Yeah.
that we're recommending. B is an alternative. The tension fabric structure is an alternative to that. So we want to present you with the alternatives. We're concerned about the tension fabric building. We're concerned that they work really well for someone at their residence, that they're the only ones using it, but this is going to be a public building where people are going in, a lot of people are going out, there's a lot more traffic going in and out of it.
Would I find,
Comes down to maintenance, comes down to paying attention to your job. So, I mean, it's the same thing with the stretched out thing. I've been approached several times since I've been there. This place never looked like this when you were here. I've heard it numerous times from numerous people. This isn't just a one-time thing. And you've even said it yourself.
You understand where the...
I know, I'm just
we're an
saying, you're saying it's so stretched out. You came to us a month ago wanting us to build a whole big recycling committee and stretch it out even more. You wanted us to build this huge building. No, not you, I'm just looking in that general vicinity. And you wanted us to build a full, and staff it fully. And now it's too big, you want to shrink it. It's one or the other. It's gone 2 different directions.
We're an advisory committee for the Board of Selectmen.
I understand that,
And we came to the advisory committee, we came to the Board of Selectmen a number of months ago.
But we
with the
never asked you to
with-
look at buildings. And the fact that an employee didn't come to us with this concern, a recycling committee tells me that it's something that you want, not an employee wants. It's something you want for your purposes, not for the betterment of the employee. It's something you want. That's what I get.
I think what we were trying to help with is a lot of things get misplaced in different places. So if you're moving a building like this to where it's within sight of the folks at the station, will give us more control over things going, what goes in and what doesn't.
I wish I would have known you were coming. I took pictures. I was in there on Saturday afternoon of the compactor, full of just everything. I wish I would have known you were coming. I would have loved to have shown you that, just to show you where I'm coming from.
We've come tonight with two proposals. A proposal for a building for batteries, fluorescent bulbs, and to keep the refrigerators out of, that's our topic.
Okay, that's fine.
That's our topic. And we're an advisory committee to the Board of Selectmen. We don't run the transfer station. We advise the Board of Selectmen of things that need to be done. And we have looked at best practices, we've looked at regulations, we've looked at the way the transfer station is currently run. And we were told 6 months ago that a large building staffed to do recycling the way that the town of Lee and other towns in New Hampshire do it is not within the realm of possibility in Northwood, and that we were to move on. So we've moved on to find other solutions for problems that we see at the transfer station. And we're advising the Board of Selectmen tonight to combine several things that are out in the edges of a very large footprint to bring them in closer.
Are you willing to go on record and say that that building isn't in your mind? You're hoping to use that in the future for future recycling? That is your whole priority for getting that building. It's not for that.
No, it's not for that.
I find that hard to believe, Jim.
I had a question. With this particular one, you're recommending that we purchase this small metal building, 20 by 20, with concrete floor in it,
Crushed stone.
crushed stone? Would you put pallets in there too to set the batteries on, or how do you envision?
You ain't gonna be able to put the refrigerators in that. How are you gonna get them out? It's an 8-foot door. You can't get in there with a piece of machinery. It's a 12-foot building. The door's obviously 8 foot. It doesn't go to the top. How are you gonna get a piece of machinery in there? It's basically rendered useless for the refrigerators.
Well, how big's that door?
It's gotta be 8 foot. If it's a 12-foot building and the door only goes up
Garage
3/4 of the
door.
way, it's gotta be an 8-foot door.
Is it a garage
It's an 8-foot door.
The single garage.
8
door.
foot wide?
8 foot tall.
How wide is it?
Doesn't matter how wide it is, you can't get the backhoe in there if it's not tall enough. It can be 20 feet wide if it's 8 foot tall. You can't get the backhoe in there. Can't lay it sideways.
But we're talking about putting regular refrigerators in there?
Refrigerators, freezers.
Can't you get that out with a dolly? Put it in and out with a dolly?
The whole purpose was to get them out of the rain to use the machinery. That's what their purpose was, what they brought it up as.
Yeah, I was just wondering though, do you need the backhoe to get refrigerators in and out of there?
That's the whole purpose of them wanting to use the backhoe to get them. I'm just telling you that was what they said. That was one of their requirements, is so they could use the machinery.
The purpose of the building is not to get the machinery out of the weather. The purpose of the building is to get the appliances out of the weather.
So you're actually asking, it's gonna take more work to handle them and use that building. Because you're gonna have to move them all the way to the back, move them all the way to the front, and then take them out. When now you set them there, the backhoe goes and grabs them, brings them to the thing, gets rid of it. That's how they're done. They don't touch them with the dolly. So you're creating more work for the employee by putting them in a building that you can't use of machinery to get them out of.
We're advising the Board of Selectmen to get the refrigerators and the electronics in the refrigerators and the tires and stuff out of the weather.
In a condensed manner.
What's your reasoning for that, besides just to get them out of the weather?
Yeah, that is our reasoning.
That's the only reason.
And the leaching of metals and from them into the environment.
Okay.
So that's our first recommendation. I'm not expecting an answer. Are there any other
I was
questions?
just trying to ask questions about the building.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, it's a garage door, so you would be able to get the refrigerators in and out. I would imagine you'd only be putting things in there until you were actually ready to get rid of them. And then when the pickup truck, when the truck came to pick things up, that's the only time the employees would be pulling stuff out of there. And your main purpose for putting them in the building is to, so if, is environmental, like what, just so I don't, because I don't know, the rain and stuff, is
We've
that?
had testing.
What?
DES was just in there testing and said there's no problems. I mean, every other transfer station stores their stuff outside. This isn't anything that we're doing that nobody else does.
As a side note, if DAS was just in there and did some testing, I think the recycling committee would like to receive a report of that, so that, we can make recommendations.
They were here talking about it with you
So we
guys.
can make some recommendations
Okay, well, they were here
based
talking
on the
with you
testing
guys.
results.
They were here with you guys and said they were in there. And they tested the soil, they talked about the blueprint, they were here. It was in the minutes. They were here, they discussed it all.
DES transfer station?
The NRRA and they said we're in
That
there with
wasn't
DES.
DES.
DES was
DES
in there
is-
with NRRA and they were talking about the footprint of because when they came in here to see something, they were in here for some reason.
No,
Yeah,
that was
it's
just
been tested.
If there,
Fantastic.
all I'm asking is that if there was testing, the recycling committee would like to be in receipt of those results, so we can make recommendations based on the testing.
You'd have to ask him to go. I don't have them. I know that they've tested it because obviously they've been there.
I don't know, so I can't comment on that.
I guess you can have them test.
I'm familiar, I'm familiar with talking with the recycling organization that's up in Epsom.
Yes.
And I might not be aware of it, but I know that organization came in, but I wasn't aware DES came in too.
I just know I've heard that they tested that soil and there's nothing wrong, that there's no,
I know they come in and look at the leach field for septic. I know they come in and
Alright, so
test
if they-
that, but
maybe that's what they're talking about then. But I'm sure if they came in and looked at the leach field and they saw a bunch of refrigerators outside in the rain, they would ding us for it. Because it seems they drive right by them.
It's two separate organizations.
Okay.
DES, that's not DES.
thank you
I'm
for
not gonna
providing this to me.
Okay,
Take it home and review it.
All right, the other recommendation is to change the policy for recycling of plastics and to keep the caps on. We have a sign now to keep the caps off. When plastics are recycled today, they first must be separated from, by number and also from other things, however the processing plant is doing it. In the process, the small caps fall through the very first filtering mechanism and end up in the landfill when they're not attached to the bottle. So if we leave the caps on, the caps will make it all the way to the end, get in the plastic pile, they're melted. And when they're melted, the caps and the bottles are two different plastics, and they separate at 180 degrees. They separate into two layers, and they siphon off the top part, and they siphon off the bottom part, and they separate them there.
Oh, I would love keeping the caps on, because I hate taking the caps off and separating.
Yeah, but are you gonna like the next part where you gotta cut a hole in them so you can put them in that way?
The second reason that we'd like to leave the caps on is that the industry, the bottling industry, is working on its own label, and there's a picture of it at the end of the proposal, that they are working to get placed on all plastic bottles.
Yeah, we didn't get that part.
That basically says to keep the caps on.
It's at the bottom of the first page.
It's on the bottom of the first page. Oh, gotcha, thank you.
Okay? So we'd like to get ahead of the curve. We recommend that the Board of Selectmen get ahead of the curve, so that we don't have a policy and a sign at the transfer station that says keep your caps off, when the bottle itself has a label on it that says keep the caps on. So we'd like to get ahead of that.
Why, it was just to ask the question. It was always my understanding the reason we took the caps off was so we could compact them more, so more could fit in the bin.
Right, so what they're suggesting is you compact them first, and then put the caps back on, and then throw them away.
No.
Right. There's a couple of ways that we teach people to process the bottles. The far to the right, the best, absolute best way is put the cap back on and cut the bottle. Poke a hole in the bottle, okay? The next thing would be to squish the bottle, put the cap back on, and throw it in. Okay, those are two ways. Now, the other thing is that when we talked years ago about leaving the caps off, we had an old, weak hydraulics to the compactor. That's all been redone, and
That's not true. Because we didn't start recycling plastics till like 3-4 years ago, and the machines are 6 years old. So we had the new machines when we first started.
okay, there's a difference of opinion. We
Okay,
believe,
well, we can tell you when we started, it says it right on the sign, Jim.
we believe that the compactor can handle that now. So, that's our recommendation. We want to get ahead of the curve. You can ignore this and carry on just as it is now and wait for the label to show up on the bottles and then deal with the public.
Just because the labels are on the bottles don't mean the public's going to listen to them. The label says, please recycle, and a lot of people still throw them in the trash.
We're hoping for
I know you're, I'm just
participation.
saying, it's just
Excuse
because
me.
it's a label don't mean it's going to be a public uproar.
So those are our two recommendations. We will have a table at the Beanhole Bash. We're doing it with Ray Doobie and the sustainability manager at Coca-Cola. He's going to bring his show and tell. We're here tonight. We're leaving you and going downstairs to work on our show and tell. We have a game for kids to play about how do you recycle this and where do you put it. And we've taken pictures of all of the different parts of the transfer station. And we're going to have things for them to put in the right bin, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about car seats. Car seats that are over 6 years old should not be in the swap shop. They're a hazard. A car seat that has been in an accident should not be there. This is the kind of information that we're going to be passing out and talking to people about all day Saturday. So,
Thank you for your
those are our
efforts.
presentations. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If I could chime in just for 1 second, Mr. Chair. Hal called, and he, not to give too much information, but he wanted to be on the next meeting, but he has a family situation, so he was hoping he could break his discussion up and come in today to talk about the TIF, and then let somebody else come in at the next meeting to talk about the milfoil.
I guess, Hal, you can come to the table, try to make it short if you can. We have a long night, I think.
I think I can. So, I'd like to get moving on the TIF, and
Need to get downstairs.
Key to get downstairs. I'll get him down.
I sent in a note asking to be put on the advisory board, and I don't know whether it wasn't acted on or whether it was discussed or what, but anyway, we need to get that moving forward one way or the other. So I'd like to know the status of my application and also the other folks on the advisory board.
I remember the discussion one night. I had one question, was whether it was a conflict where you were involved in it already. That was my question. I had one question as to where you've set this up and then you're on the committee, and
Well, I think...
that was the only question I had.
Yeah, I think what you'll find is, for most situations like this, it's actually, I don't want to say an expectation or a requirement, but maybe more of a advantage, I guess is the word I'd use, when the people that have worked on it at least play some role. Because when I talk about this to other folks in the town and stuff, you know, they're not even sure about the RSA or what it means, or, you know, even the basis for the TIF. mean, they support the concept in general, but in terms of really driving it, I hesitate to even think who else we could get. And I don't mind doing it. And, I mean, just as an example, I go to all the commercial and industrial real estate meetings out here on the seacoast. It's called Cyber. And I participate in the meetings in Durham for small communities like ours where we're trying to work together on economic development. And I don't see anybody else from the town there for those reasons. And I just don't think other folks, would really have the wherewithal to do it. Not saying that I'm smarter than somebody else, but they haven't been involved and they don't know all the details. And I think I can give it a good shot and move it forward. And that includes, convincing owners to get on the advisory board too, because we need 3 owners. Rick, by default, as the selectman's rep to the planning board, you would automatically be on the board. When we originally talked about forming the TIF, and Matt Sullivan was here, he was all really gung-ho about, really, this is planning, get as many planning board members as we can on it. So since I sit on the planning board, I think most people would also view that as an advantage. So I think I could fit the job and do it well. And I don't know of any conflicts. I know that in the election manual, there's, offices and different things that state, if you're a selectman, you can't do this or that and the other. But I'm not aware of any statutory conflicts at all.
That was just a question I had. I wasn't contesting your integrity of anything. I know you put your heart and soul in everything you do, and I appreciate that. And that was just one thought that I had was, would it be a conflict or not? And
not that I am aware of or know of, and nobody else, when I talk about it with other folks, nobody, sometimes when you talk about, different things you're doing, folks, might give you some advice or something. Nobody has ever thought of that. So
it's just a question I had, and I was honest. I said it to your face, and
no.
I wanted you to know what my thing was with it, and I'm glad you explained it. I appreciate it, and I don't know if these guys have any questions. I don't know what their thoughts were back then, because it was a few months ago, and I'll let them speak for themselves.
Okay.
I think that was our concern, is if it was, my concern was it was gonna stretch you too thin.
Well,
That was my concern.
I'm retired, so.
That was just my concern. I
That
mean,
was actually, if I have to say that a concern, I was like, we being on economic development, budget committee, moderator.
I just thought it was gonna stretch you too thin.
I think I was coming from the same mindset as DJ. Yes, I do realize you're retired. And so if you want to spend your retirement working on town stuff, that's great.
His wife might have something to say.
I will say this, my wife just retired, so I might be back in a year.
Well, he has to get out of the house.
I'm not making any comments to that.
No, I mean, quite frankly, I'll be very honest, I enjoy working with a lot of the folks on the committees and stuff. I mean, some of it's work, but a lot of it I view as pleasurable. I mean, actually, most of it. There's people in town that are on the committees with me, and I enjoy working with them. And so, no, I don't, from my perspective, I don't mind doing it. So if that was really your only concern, I don't mind putting in the time. And I really, part of the reason I pressured Joe to come in tonight is I really would like, if not me, somebody to start moving this forward, and we need to get somebody else then, because I don't want to keep postponing the Economic Development Committee meetings and stuff, because we don't really have anything to discuss. This is the next big thing for us to work on, so.
I'm actually fine with you doing that. You just wanted to ask some.
I don't have any problem. That was the only question I had.
Well, here's what we can do. If folks think that there could be a conflict, or it comes to light, I think we should then bring that up, just like you know.
I don't think there's gonna be a conflict. It was just a question I had, and maybe it was an inappropriate question at the time, but
No, I think.
it was what popped up in my mind.
I think we need to, you know, I think we need to run the government so that people think there is no special.
I agree with you.
Things. And so I don't think it's an unfair question to ask, and I think we need to be, you know, if you think that there might be or something like
I
that,
don't.
then I think we have to, as it comes up, address it. And we just need to be prepared to deal with it. And
I have no problem with it. I know you put your heart and soul into what you do, and like I said, it was the only question I had.
Yeah, you know what, let's get this, I'll make a motion where, there is a vacancy on the, Tax Increment Financing District Advisory Committee. I'll make a motion to, appoint, Harold Crater for a term, expiring on March 31st of 2020.
Second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 thank you. Would you like me to assist in recruiting the other members, or would you like to, you know, me work with Joe on that? Because, like I said, Rick, you're already automatically part of it, but we need to get 3 landowners, and I don't mind making the calls if that's the way you'd like me to play
That's
it.
fine with me. Does anybody else have any problem?
I have no issue with that.
Okay, because I want to get moving on. Okay, thank you very much, and Joe, thank you for working me in.
Thank you, Hal,
Thank you for your volunteer.
for what you
My
do.
pleasure.
Okay. Unfinished, we're gonna move on to unfinished business, or do you have something else before?
No, sir, that's it.
Unfinished business will be the fire truck. So we can put that to bed once and for all.
Yeah, so in your packets, I provided the board with the questions and answers from the two companies that responded. One company, the gentleman that came in, he actually dropped out of the running, Eastern Fire, he withdrew. So Dingy Machine and Northeastern Fire Apparatus are the two that are still in the running.
One is in Connecticut and one's in New Hampshire, right?
Yep, Dingy is up north in New Hampshire, and then Northeast is down in Connecticut, yeah.
I will say the Dingy contract was a lot higher than the Connecticut. And from my review of this, the Connecticut company had a much more sound financial record, and just looking and talking about, they indicated they would provide sureties, like a surety bond and so forth. So I'd like to make a recommendation to go with Northeast Fire Apparatus Specialist. Their quote was $67,300.
On that, I'd like to also talk on that. I actually,
I'll second it for comment.
I actually looked at that, and I didn't even pay attention to where they were. Honestly, didn't even look at the address. I just looked at, and I didn't even really look at the price until after. I looked at all of the same things that you talked about, and I also recommend Northeastern Fire, regardless. I didn't even honestly know they were in Connecticut until just now. I didn't even look. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I know it's a lot further away, but that's not really the issue. The issue is getting the fire truck done properly.
No, it's no problem getting it down there, that's for sure.
So, if you gotta make a motion, we can make a motion. I also,
Do you want to second my motion?
you didn't make a motion, you just
I
recommended it.
thought you did, I
You
seconded it.
recommended it, but
I thought you made a motion, I said
did you
I'll
make,
second it.
I thought you
For
recommended it. I didn't
discussion.
think you
Okay.
mentioned.
He did say recommend.
did recommend it. He didn't
I'd
say
like to
do
make
it.
a motion that we award the contract to Northeastern Fire Apparatus Specialist, and they are in Chichester, Connecticut.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion, the only question that I have is, I looked at it, and I only looked at it once, and I apologize for that. Date of completion, it didn't seem like we had anything.
It says 4 months based on lead time for parts, I thought I read on it.
Yeah, that's something I emailed him after the fact. He said he's gonna have to get the parts in. He said he was shooting for Thanksgiving. he put that in writing and said Thanksgiving is his completion day. But we would write up a contract with a solid end date if, once you gentlemen decide who.
I just didn't want to get into, next spring or
Well, can't we
after
amend
that.
that motion? Can we amend that motion to have an end date?
I don't want to put a bind
I'm
on
just
the
saying-
guy, but I just don't want this going on any longer.
Lesson learned from the last time.
Can we amend it to like January 1st?
We
even
should
if we
put,
give time?
we should put a completion, required completion date. So when did he say he could have, he kind of indicated he could have it done by the end of November?
Yeah, he said Thanksgiving has his
So if we
date.
said,
December 1st.
December 1st, that would be reasonable.
Yeah, completely.
And if
I'd
there's a
like to,
problem, you can always come back to us, but
I'd like to amend the motion to include, a stipulation that this must be, completed by December 1st. Do you want to second my amendment?
I'll second.
any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that on the
Motion
amendment?
passes 3-0.
Is that on the amendment?
On the amendment, you want to vote on it
Okay.
again?
Well, I'm just saying technically you vote on the amendment and then you vote on the main question.
We'll do it again if you want to. We do one or two.
Well, the amendment passed, so now we go to the main question.
All right, we'll go to the main question.
Aye.
Aye. That'll make the fire chief happy. You all set, Joe?
Yes, sir, that's what we needed.
Moving on to the pavilion bid. I guess that's kind of up in the air after the curveball we were throwing tonight, but wherever you want to go with it, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah, the last time we met, we talked about having the grantor, the person giving us the money, let us move all of the $20,000 to building the pavilion, and we were going to ask the people to build the pavilion to give us the job for $20,000, which all happened.
Okay.
So now we have a contract for $20,000 and the money to spend on that contract.
So now it's just a matter of, are we gonna stay with our decision to leave it where we want it and then decide on who we're gonna have build it? Is that what you're saying?
Basic. We only had one bid.
Did we, oh yeah, that's right, we only had one
We
bid.
didn't
that's
have
right.
any other choices.
I think that, I did go down there with you guys and kind of walk the ground and, kind of giving concerns, I don't necessarily agree with the locations suggested by the rec committee. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I thought the location for, sometimes you look at the long-term goal of the project and where we're building those other fields. I don't think it's gonna be 5 more years. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think that it's probably gonna be more like 2. I know that we actually walked in, we had quite a discussion.
I thought where we picked, it was, it worked great. If you, like I said, if you thin out where that little reservoir is,
Yeah.
you can
And-
actually
and
see the
given the
soccer
fact-
field and the baseball field.
I also think,
It wasn't supposed to be cut out the first time.
Was it?
It wasn't supposed to be cut out the first time. It's all wetlands in there.
but
There's supposed to be a buffer there.
You can't even clean it out a little bit? Because you can almost see through them now.
We were talking about the bank where you guys filled in. That's where we're talking about putting it.
Past retention pond.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't.
yeah,
can't
where
do
you
that.
guys
my
filled
only-
that bank up.
my only
You
concern
can almost
was-
see everything from right there as it is.
I thought you were talking about like behind the swing set coming out of the left. I'm sorry.
No. It's almost where they already had cut the field out, but they didn't cut that. It's probably a section of trees about the size of this building. And then if you go up a little bit, the pavilion would be here, so you're gonna be, you say you're sitting here, you're gonna look, the trees will be here, baseball fields here, and then the soccer fields is just on the other side of those trees. If you clean those trees out a little bit, you'll be able to see all aspects of everything from that spot.
So my only concern was that now that we got the grantor to agree to letting us change up the
Wording.
whole scope of work and the signage, and we got the builder to agree to
Wanted.
a better pavilion than we essentially got for a bid, I just think we should get it done sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I don't know how we're getting anything any better than we were
Well,
before, but I guess
The,
that's all right.
The pavement
The
The concrete wasn't included.
Concrete wasn't
When we
included
went
the first
back and
bid.
said we wanted the concrete, he said he'd do it for that price.
No, the concrete was included in the original bid. My question was for $975, how thick was the floor gonna be?
Oh,
That
no,
was
they
my
gave-
concern.
No, he brought the bid down to the price that we had.
I
The-
understand
The
that.
contract was higher with the concrete.
I know it was, no, that's wrong.
He didn't lower it to fit into our,
He did.
With concrete was more than our budget, without was under.
I
And
think
we
he's
wanted
saying
it
the
with
same thing.
concrete.
Yeah.
And then he
That's what
came
he's
down to our number, and he's gonna add the concrete, is the way I'm understanding it.
No.
Is that
No.
correct?
No, that wasn't the way it was. He gave a number for concrete. I looked at the bid. His bid was $970 some dollars for the concrete floor, and I said, in a building 20 by 30, you're gonna get a floor this thick. There's something wrong. Concrete is $135 a yard right now, and you're not gonna do that many square feet for $975. That was what flagged me.
I know, but he gave us two prices,
I
with
know he
or
did.
without concrete,
Well,
right?
Yes.
So how much was the price with concrete
With concrete was $20,795,
and without concrete?
$19,875.
yeah, it was no difference
No,
for nothing.
there's a difference.
Not enough to buy enough to do the floor. My other question was, I asked for a list of materials, how it was gonna be built. I wanna know what it's gonna set on. I wanna know if they're gonna put the post on the ground, if there's gonna be piers in the ground for the post to set on, or
It's
I'm gonna have a hard time awarding this without seeing how it's gonna be built.
Yeah, on the front page, he has his list of materials, and he says pole barn style.
I understand that.
From my understanding, that's just a post,
Go right to the ground.
yeah, right into the ground.
That's not good.
But I'm not a builder, so that's just my understanding of it.
Can I see the list?
Yes.
I don't see anything here where it says sonotubes, so, all right. What's that? No frost posts? Nope, sonotubes. And it doesn't say how far they're going in the ground, but I guess that's something we can talk to them about, but my concern is we need to have the building anchored so when the wind blows, it doesn't end up upside down and in a pile. That's the only concern I have with it.
I can, I can go back if you want to sit and, we can sit down and you give me all the concerns, and we can
Oh,
just
that's the
call.
only concern I have, that the building is sitting on a good footing.
Yeah.
You know, one more day, call Lee, see what they did, you know, can't hurt.
I'm sure that they did what I did with my pole barn. They spent $125 a piece and bought the blocks and put them 5 feet in the ground, which have a 2x2 by an 18-inch base on them. And then you buy an anchor plate that goes on top, that bolts the 6x6s to it, so when you get a storm, the building isn't gonna leave town. 6 posts is a matter of, $700-800 to do it right. But that's only my opinion.
If the board, if the board wants, you can vote with a condition. And
I
then-
just want to make sure that it's on a footing that's going to keep it there. I'm sure everybody in this room wouldn't be happy if we had a windstorm come through at 40 miles an hour and it ends up down on the soccer field.
My question is when we put this out to bid, we didn't specify how we wanted it anchored or anything like that?
Yeah, we put out a description of what we wanted,
Okay.
along with a picture,
So
so
we're just
yeah.
kind of going by, we're hoping that they're going to do the right thing type deal?
That's my point.
No, it was a pavilion, and that's what this process is about, is making sure we get what we want, what's right for the town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've had no discussion on how the building's going to be anchored.
Yeah, no, it's,
I mean, from my point of view, if I was buying a building at my house and having somebody come install it, I wouldn't know most of this stuff. I would hope when they come there, they're gonna build it the most proper way that they're supposed to, I guess, so it won't have those issues. Because they should come with some sort of
Well,
warranty.
isn't the bill, can't the building inspector go down there and take a look to see if it's,
I mean, I thought that's what the building inspector was supposed to be for.
It's kind of late after you award the contract for a
Well, but-
price. That's
It's
kind of
the-
like putting the apple after the cart.
But we've talked, the building inspector's been a part of this since we began, so, but you know what, if we want to, I agree with you, we don't want that thing to blow away and hit the condos.
why don't we?
Yeah, let's pause it.
Why don't we just table it to the next
Oh,
meeting?
we can vote on it as long as we're happy with how it's gonna be set on the problem. I don't have any problem with going on with it. I just wanna make sure the building's
Can't
gonna
we
be
just ask for a
anchored.
site plan?
A site plan?
Shouldn't he, yeah, he should have some sort of how he's gonna do this, like, scope of work, and then he should be able to tell you how he's gonna do, what he's gonna do.
Yeah, we'll
You
get
know, when I go
to,
on, like, if you build a house, you have a site plan.
yeah, I'll get something from
I mean,
him
something,
that
what he's
shows
gonna-
the,
how he's gonna anchor it or something, whatever, if that's what you want.
He's got a 4-inch floor, the 8-inch around that too for the concrete, you know?
let's get some more information, and then, I mean, because we don't want it to blow away. That's fair, that's,
I think, which I'm fine with, I think if you do a couple of these extra things, it's gonna cost us more than 20K, which might be the right thing to do, which is the right thing to do, but I don't think we can really vote on this, because I think when you come back and mention these things, you might
Yeah.
say, I can't do it for that cost, so then we wouldn't be approving something that we'd approve it for the grant amount. So I think he needs to bring us back more information, so we know what actually it's gonna cost if we do these tweaks to the project.
That's fine with me.
we'll s-
My intent wasn't to delay it, though.
No, I get what you're saying, I
know-
absolutely 100%
I know-
understand
I know
what you're saying.
I know you're saying, and my intent's not to delay it either, but if we say, we'll approve it tentatively on these, and he brings it back, and I gotta tell you, if I was doing a project, I says, I can do this for 20, because right now, he's got something in his head, he says, this is what I'm gonna do.
How I'm gonna make
And
money
then he's
doing
gonna
it.
say, oh, we want, after we say, okay, but we want this, this, and this, and we still don't know, he might say, I can't do it for 20K if you want
I
this,
agree
this,
with
and
that.
this. So let's
I agree with what you're saying.
figure out what it's exactly gonna cost before we, because he's gonna, if he comes back and he says, I can't do it for that, he's gonna have to come back anyways.
All right, so I guess we're moving on. Hopefully next time we have a short discussion and it'll be over with. All right, we're gonna move on to opening the bridge bids for Bow Lake Road.
These are all the bridge bids.
yes, we got 8, this is the RFQs for, this is just the engineering for the,
This is just the engineering?
Engineering, yeah. The state, like I told you earlier, sets the bridge payment amount. They're gonna tell us how we have to build it.
Yep.
If we go through them, and if not, we're on our own.
Wait, press firmly.
it's not very sharp, you're okay.
Mine probably isn't any
Is this
sharper.
yours? Holy crap.
You gonna say you got 911 on speed dial?
I got a $1.99 Walmart knife if you wanna try that one. Cause I lose them once a week.
My hand's like a knife.
I see that.
Oh my God, what's this like, Get Smart in a package?
Yeah. They had to pay by the pound to mail those.
All right, I got a bid. Obviously, there's one for each of us. I got a bid for,
Can we possibly request to see after they're done putting up the bids, to bring them up?
Company CMA.
CMA Engineers, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Which is the town engineering company, I think.
Just,
You're not gonna have prices in that.
oh, not?
Nope. The state dictates how we do this process. We have to ask for the RFQs, the qualifications. And then based on qualifications, three groups will be chosen, and then you negotiate price with your top, first, second, and third choice.
Oh, so we actually have to go through this and pick out who's the
Right.
most qualified.
Yeah.
Who we think will do the best job for us.
Yep.
And narrow it down to 3. Awesome. So it's gonna take a lot of reading to do. It's not gonna be something we're gonna do tonight, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
All right, so why don't I just say who the people are? Okay, this is, we got a bid from McFarland and Johnson. Okay, I don't really, the names on here, I don't have to open them now, right?
Well,
There's no prices, right?
There's no prices.
are you gonna go through them and give us all their individual?
Yeah, we can, but we don't need the,
That doesn't mean that they all have 4 in them.
We'll find out.
They-
I mean, you don't have to open them all, you can just say
no,
their
I'll
names,
open them,
but.
I'll open whatever you
But,
The request was to get 4 copies.
was it? Okay, so then there shouldn't be an issue.
There should be 4 in every.
So
We're gonna have to open them at some point.
So did they fail because they only provided us?
No, I got
They did give
mine.
us 4, okay.
Already.
This is 4, all right, this is,
Gonna have to open them at some point.
Hole Tanner and Associates from Manchester, New Hampshire.
Give Joe his copy so we don't have them all messed up.
All right.
Who's that one?
Here's Joe's copy. Here's that.
Just
Well,
their
it's
qualifications.
DOT, because we're getting state monies, we better, because they pay what, 80%?
Yeah.
So we get 80% from the state, we have to follow their bid process. Okay, this one's from Holden Engineering. These are mine, you can look at it. Here's a copy for you, copy for me, copy for you, copy for you.
If you got your CMA, this one goes to Joe. If he doesn't have a CMA.
Okay, that's Joe's CMA. I don't know if you want that. That goes with Holden.
This isn't the one that. This isn't the one getting fixed already, is it?
Okay, this is from,
Oh, Lake Road.
HEB Engineers, out of, looks like they're out of North Conway.
Got a zip tab on that.
All right, this is from Du Bois and King.
Du Bois and Kane.
Yeah. DUBOIS and King. This is from Stanek, out of Auburn, New Hampshire. And this is from Quantum Construction Consultants out of Concord, New Hampshire.
The last one.
I believe it is.
I have a question real quick. Have we done any sort of business with any of these people before, for any of our other bridges?
I think
And
one
if
of them's,
so-
I think one of them's the town engineer,
Okay,
but,
I just question. So is
I
this
think,
another
I think
recommendation
because of the
we have?
price amount of this, you're gonna get a lot of bidders on this, because it's like almost $300,000, right?
Almost $700,000 total project.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
going through the state, it's a lot more money.
If we go
And
for
if
the
we
big-
did it on
big bang,
ourselves, it's almost double. And then some.
That's for the full shebang, right? 700,000 or something like that. There's
Yes, to replace the bridge.
I I thought there was two different quotes. One was
Two different bridges.
two different
The
bridges.
bridge, yeah, we'll talk about that one.
We're not onto that one yet. That one's coming.
What? My road. Joe's road?
My road's smoked.
So is there any more discussion on this before we move on to something else?
I don't think we can, we gotta review the proposals.
I understand that, but I'm just asking a simple question. I want everybody to have a fair chance to speak. Joe?
So the highway committee put forward 3 members, and I think Rick, were you part of that group?
Not me, no.
3 members, and then the environmental committee?
Conservation?
Conservation committee. They put forward a member to review and then suggest back to the Board of Selectmen, who they felt were their best picks.
But they haven't done that yet.
They have not done that yet. I personally, it would be my wish that somebody on the Board of Selectmen would be on this group too, because you guys are the governing body.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to acceptance of the minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes for June 27th, 2017 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
You got any assessing forms of documents?
We do.
Probably plenty of those.
Okay, I have a report of a timber cut at 246 Catamount Road, map 206, lot 2, sublot 2. Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, I don't have any.
Taxes are paid.
This is so they can pay the taxes.
Oh, they've already cut it.
They already
All
cut
right.
it, this is to.
I thought you said it was an
this is
intent to cut.
No, report of timber cut. So he's reporting how much was cut.
I know it.
I
Okay,
think there's 2 places to sign on that one too.
So,
everybody in favor?
yeah.
Did you make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye.
And there
Passes
are,
3-0.
there are 2 spots to sign on this.
I like when we get paid money.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is a P-28 inventory of taxable property from the 2018. And there's a, is this all together, Joe? This is the intent to cut, and this is all part of the one thing, or is this 3 different items?
There are 3 different items in that packet.
So in this packet, I have a PA-28, the inventory of taxable property from 2018. And that's the annual request from DRA regarding use of inventory forms. The assessor is suggesting that the attached letter be marked will not be using. I guess then, well, before I make a motion on that, or do you want to make a motion and then ask questions?
I'm not quite sure I understand what it was about.
Okay, let me just read this, and I don't know why I put all 3 of these together, I made them. But, okay, attached is the end request from DRA regarding the use of the inventory forms PA-28. DRA simply wants to know which towns rely on inventory forms to determine changes in property condition. DRA contracts the printing of the forms. Towns such as Northwood that have instituted a building permit inspection programs do not generally require the inventories. Northwood has not used these inventories for at least a decade. So, okay, he's recommending, and he's already highlighted, so I recommend that we will not be using it. That's my motion. I'll make a motion that we will not be using PA-28 form in 2018.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Seeing no discussion?
So I'm gonna check the box.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Okay. And then the next one is the intent to cut 21 Corson Drive, map 202, lot 4. Property taxes have been paid. So I'll make a motion to approve that, intent to cut.
Second.
You second it?
Second. For
Any
discussion.
discussion?
I don't have any.
Seeing none, call for the vote. All in
Aye.
favor?
And then the next one
Passes 3-0.
is an intent to excavate, map 217, lot 35. The acreage of the lot is 25 acres. Property taxes have been paid.
Second.
I only had one question. This is all that's been approved. It says 25 acres. That's the only thing that caught
Yeah,
my,
I
is
think
that a new
that's-
piece? Is that the current piece he's working on, or?
I think that's a piece he's been working on. That doesn't count what he's already excavated. Well, obviously.
I had asked Linda that question, and I don't know if she has an answer.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wasn't sure, and I saw it in my notes, and you weren't around, so I'd asked Linda
Fair
to
enough.
see if she could check in so that I knew.
I don't have any more questions.
I don't either.
We'll call.
Call for the vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
And then there's another little package here. Okay, these next assessing items require, these are veterans credits. So this one is tax 17 Gary Road, tax map 224, lot 28. The applicant does meet the qualifications. And then the other one is a 24 Ridge Road, tax map 221, lot 25. This applicant also meets the recommendations, so I'll make a motion to approve both these veterans credits.
Second.
Any discussion?
I mean, I can read the attached, find complete veterans credits. The assessors reviewed the applications. They did receive honorable discharge from active service. He recommends them both to be approved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Up top two, Scott.
What? Oh. Well, yeah, that's just, okay.
Is it an initial?
No, they're just asking us to check the box, I think. And I already signed that page. Just, I think he's just saying up here that Sherry's checking the
Granted.
box.
Yep.
I believe, is any other assessing?
That's it.
Okay.
He's got more.
You got the manifest?
There's two here.
There's two manifests?
Yep.
Okay. There's two manifests tonight. First one is manifest P 2017, number 15B, in the amount of $563.06. I'll
Second.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
What is this in particular?
That,
There was-
we had a timesheet that didn't make it to finance, and per by law, we have to pay them,
Okay.
so.
I don't have any other questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Okay, and then the check, second one is the regular accounts payable check register, manifest number 2017V, number 16, in the amount of $70,179.38.
Second. Any discussion?
I don't have any.
Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Passes 3-0.
POs?
Yes. You want an explanation or just want to go with?
Is it, I guess I can look at them if I have a question.
What are we moving on to purchase orders?
Yep, okay, got a purchase order in the amount of $830. Painting Town Hall Garage per 2016 warrant in the amount of $830. I'll make a motion to approve that with Hodgkins Painting.
Second?
What did you say it was approved for?
Oh,
Under the article?
the amount on here is 830, but is that part of the facilities committee's break? What did the facilities committee appropriate for this project?
They appropriated $2,000 for that particular project, so we get it for $830. We did ask 3 different vendors, but only one vendor came back and said, yeah, I'll do that. People are really busy right now.
He's the guy that lives on Route
Yeah, it's a
43,
good
right?
guy. I was just wondering what we appropriated for it, that's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
aye. Aye.
Rick, who seconded that?
Yep.
Who seconded that motion?
Okay, this is a donation to Cornerstone V&A. And I'm assuming that this was the amount per budget request that was in the operating budget?
Shy by a couple bucks, but yeah.
Okay. And this is a 2017 donation request. It is $85 less than the original budget request, in the amount of $3,308. I'll move that.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Okay, this is the second payment to the Pleasant Lake Reservation Association in the amount of $1,250. I believe it's part of the milfoil,
It's milfoil.
so I'll move that.
Which, I'll second it for discussion. Is that for Northwood Lake or for?
Pleasant.
Pleasant?
Pleasant Lake. I think that's the one with
It's
the.
2,500, right?
Yeah.
Originally?
Yeah.
2,500
Just wondering
originally.
which one it was for.
Yeah, that's the one. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay.
A lot of paper, huh?
Okay. Please find the attached quote from Tyler Technologies that finally arrived yesterday. It is considerably higher than we budgeted. Last year, we could not get a written quote from them, and we based the budget amount on a number that was given a couple years back. We budgeted $14,000, and the quote came in for $29,850. It has taken me months to get a quote. I was a little shocked at the cost. Which does not recommend overspending the budget amount by $16,000. However, we do need updated the software. Well,
I'm confused. What is this for?
is this for
I don't know by
yeah,
the name of
this
the
is-
company
This is
what
the
it
accounting
is.
software, and since I got this letter, I'm a little confused. Because I believe finance provided us with the budget number.
They did.
So,
What happened?
well, she gave us this letter says that she gave us a 3-year-old number.
I think so, but I just got this today, so I didn't get a lot of time to look into it.
Because,
I'm very confused.
Remember the accounting package?
yeah, I know, because
Yeah.
we discussed that in length when we.
I thought we had
budget
quotes
committee.
on it and bids or
I
whatever
did
they
too.
were.
We discussed that in length when we went into the budget.
I recall that, I'm pretty sure we asked finance for the quotes.
I never
I don't
recall a
remember who
number
we
of that
asked.
amount being discussed.
And I have another question. If Sandy wrote this, how come she didn't sign it?
Oh, I don't know.
I guess we need to look into that one. I don't know what we're supposed to do with it, but if someone's got an idea, I'd like to hear it.
Well,
We can go back and see what, maybe they can bring it a price down like they did with
I'd
the
like to,
gazebo.
I'd like to discuss it. We do have a budget committee meeting coming up. And, well, it's one of those things like you can't.
We can't do it, we can't do it, we don't have the
It's one of
money.
those things, it's one of those things that
Why do we have to do it?
we don't have to do it this year. We probably should have done it this year. That was the understanding that we told Budget Committee. For the record, I recommend, for the record, I depend on getting the right numbers from the staff. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I don't know how we came up with half the amount. It's a little frustrating.
Evidently, there was a miscue somewhere, someone was on the same line as the other person. I mean, that's a big difference. So I guess we put that one in the pile for later.
Remember during Budget Committee, we asked for
Is this
accounting.
ADS or is this freaking?
This is the
ADS.
ADS, the accounting package. So when we put it in the operating budget, it's our understanding, based on information we got from staff, that was $16,000.
I didn't realize we were doing it through Tyler Technologies.
I didn't think so
It's the
either.
same, it's the same company. They're out of Franconia, right? Up north?
They're New Hampshire based, I don't know where.
It says last year we could not get a written quote from them, and we based the budget amount on a number that was given a couple of years back.
Why would we base the budget amount on an old number?
I don't remember that even talking about an old number at all.
I don't know, I said,
Says
we
we
asked
budgeted-
how much was the quote, and they told us $16,000.
I don't remember, yeah, that's the.
I mean,
that's the big
I'm making,
one right
I'm not gonna, but I gotta make the assumption that if somebody's asking for something, they know how much it costs.
It says here, it took me 3 months to get this quote, and the budget amount we budgeted
You
was
know-
$16,000.
You call the company, you ask them for a quote, why does it take 3 months?
I got no idea. I can only tell you what I'm reading. I think we need to look into that one.
I thought we were gonna have Mainstay do our.
Oh, mainstay is the computers.
Okay.
This is
I
a
guess it's
common package.
two different things.
Yeah, Mainstay did do that, though. They're,
I was gonna suggest, depending on how the budget looks, discuss the issue with the budget committee. And if there's because if we have money left over this year, if we could get it this year, I'd like to get some feedback from budget committee, but, I don't wanna do it tonight, but I'd like to discuss it because we do need the accounting software. And if we got the money this year, then we don't have to go back and ask for the money again next year. But if we don't have the money, then we'll have to wait till next year.
I think it's pretty obvious there was some confusion. Okay, moving on to what next?
miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous signatures?
So I have an update for the board about the sale of that Lot 202, Lot 1, the Lynn Sweet lot out there on the border. Bill Wormel has done some research, and he thinks he's found the solution to the problem. What happened, just briefly, back in 19 and change, at the turn of the century, when
Do you
the...
have 3 of these?
Yes. When the owner died, his wife went and allocated some properties to the daughters, and she misrepresented the lot that we now own. because of that, we've gone past our extension date, and Lynn Sweet has sent me another request to extend the purchase date.
I don't see
The
why.
reason we extended the date, kind of our fault, because we were researching it.
Yeah.
And this still was on us evidently.
Um,
It took a while to get the information and figure it out.
Yeah, so it's our fault, it's not hers.
So if it's our fault, I don't think there should be any issue with us extending it.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, so,
I feel bad for this poor lady. We need to just get this done. This is going on like 6, 7 months we've been dealing with this.
Sometimes with these real estate things, you can't help that.
yeah.
I mean, when you buy a house, it takes a long time to close.
If there was a mess up back that far, you gotta go a long ways to figure it out.
That's the thing. This happened so many years back and nobody caught it until now. So now we gotta untangle it.
I think it's an unfortunate situation and there's not much we can do
She's
about
still
it.
interested in the property?
She's
Oh,
very
yeah,
interested
she's still very,
still.
yeah.
I mean, do we have to give a date, like, is this all done? Is the research all done, or is there more stuff to do? Is this the final?
That research is off to the lawyer, and the lawyer's gonna give us
Opinion.
options on what
How to do
we
it.
can do.
Alright,
It was just a heads up, basically.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just giving you guys,
I don't have any
Here's
problems with
the-
extending the date.
that's for Rick to sign.
Oh,
Do you have any problem with extending the date?
I mean, it's not her fault that we had to do this additional research.
$674.41.
They even
Oh, I
went to
got that
time.
packet, they got mailed, is this the one the planning board mailed out separate?
I don't know if they mailed it out separate, but
Yeah, I got this from the planning board directly. You sent it
Yeah,
in a separate package.
right.
Yeah,
Because there's a reason for it. It's in Harvey Lake.
oh,
That's why it was a heads up. You want to put this in the basket?
yeah, please. I'll separate
I
it.
didn't know if you wanted it back or
is
not.
there a concern about this?
Yeah,
It's not a big enough lot size.
the lot size as usual.
How big's the,
Is it gonna be big enough if they, because they're asking for them to combine 4 lots, is it gonna be big enough if they combine the 4 lots? No,
It's
it's
still
not gonna be big enough.
.2, whatever it says.
0.25 acres with 4 lots?
.25 acres and
That's tiny.
they're
4
building
lot.
a huge
That's a
house
tiny
on
4
it.
lots.
alright, so wait,
How big is each
so if you put
individual
all
lot?
4
That's
lots
tiny.
together, it's only a quarter acre?
That don't sound right.
I went and looked at it today.
I believe you, but that's a small 4, that's 4 lots, it's at a quarter of an acre, that's a pretty small lot for each lot.
When they're 100 by 100 or 100 by 150,
Huh?
It's .62 with all 4 combined.
Okay.
.62, but still
So
small.
it's still smaller than the 2 that we require.
And one thing I noticed, if this is, what's the name on this one? I don't know if that's the right one.
Well, it's
Whatever.
One of them I looked at today, there's 2
map
going up there.
120, I mean,
That tells me nothing. I went out and looked at 2 that's on Harvey Lake that are coming through. One
This
right
one's not
behind
on
the
Harvey
other.
Lake, this one's Shore Drive, this is up by the, isn't this Tasker Shore?
It's on Harvey
Is
Lake.
it? Shore Drive's Harvey Lake,
It sits on the lake, yeah.
is it?
This
I
house,
thought it was Tasker Shore Drive. I
this house
misread
is
it.
in the setback on the wetlands. It's the way they approved it. And the side boundary line, I see stakes that are there. And I'd say they're encroaching the boundary line on the other side by what I saw from the stakes that are in the ground. They're not 20 feet from the boundary line on one side, and they're in the wetlands on the other
is there
side.
a recommendation from the planning board on
Yeah,
that?
they were recommend.
Well,
they
we
recommend to
originally said
approve.
that we weren't gonna approve any more things in there until certain things were done, and now these keep coming about, and I guess Joe feels that we never took a real vote on stopping what we were gonna do in there, and
They recommended to approve it if they combined all 4 lots, is that's what it
that's
says.
what they recommended, but that
Just saying
doesn't
that's-
mean that
I don't-
we have to
I
approve it.
understand
Can
that, I'm
you-
just answering his
Just
question.
asking a question.
Answering his
And
question.
Joe had some legal on it
Yeah,
too, I
okay.
think.
I just had a question before. Can they, I'm just gonna ask this, did DES come down and look at it and determine they could put a septic on there?
The
Can they
septic,
put the septic in there?
the septic is across the street on another lot, but Linda has more information about this than I do, yeah.
Come to the mic, Linda, please.
I'll give you a little information on it.
It's still too small.
the zoning board did approve it. There is an existing year-round mobile with some outbuildings on 1.28 lot now. There's another lot beside it that they own .28, and then they own a double lot on the other side of the Shore Drive.
On the other side of the road across.
Correct.
It doesn't abut
The
it, other than the
house-
road runs through it.
The mobile, the plan is that they were gonna remove the mobile and the outbuildings that are connected, and you should have a existing and proposed plan. And they have a state-approved septic system, which is on the lot across the street, the double lot, and that has a garage, and there is a wetland that goes through that side and comes over and goes across and into Harvey Lake.
So who's, so the same people that own the septic system across the street?
Yep.
So not a separate?
Yes.
They pump
What
on
Is
the
that
road.
lot merged into that lot?
the
Will be, but there'll be a
zoning
road in
board
between.
granted the variance with the condition that the 4 small Harvey Lake lots be merged.
Okay, so they take, okay, just bear with me, I just gotta ask a
Sure.
couple questions. So we got 4 lots that are on Harvey Lake. Mm-hmm. And then you got one.
2 are on the wall.
2 on one side and
and
2
then
on the
one-
other side.
But they're on different sides of the road.
Right.
Correct.
So what will happen is if we approve this, they're gonna merge all 4 lots so that these could never be sold separately.
That's correct, and that was part of the testimony that, in the final approval by the zoning board, was that those 4 lots, including one that is actually beside the existing home that is a waterfront lot, so it would be taking one waterfront lot and the 2 from the other side of the road. One which is already developed because it has their garage and septic on it. They pump underneath,
So
it's all
just to be
state
clear,
approved.
these could never be separated again once they're.
That's
combined.
correct, they
Never.
cannot be
Those some
separated.
Left, I'm going to ZBA.
No, well,
Well,
the merger form says only through a that they cannot be further subdivided. They could not be, subdivided because they at once were separate lots. The answer is no, they could be added to another lot.
Well, they could be added to another lot to make it bigger. They can't make it smaller again.
That's my understanding.
Right.
The owner does own a double lot on the other side of the 2 that are on the non-shore side. And there's a structure on that that's currently lived in by another party.
And the ZBA's already approved this?
Yes, it has. It has a shoreland permit. They went through that process because that's required because the existing structure is within 250 feet of the shore. And they have that approval as well.
I think by approving this, even though they've approved it, we're setting a bad precedence. Why did they let them go into the wetland setback?
The problem,
I can't answer for the board. They took the testimony, well, I can actually answer the question as to what the testimony was. What they said was the existing mobile encroaches into the neighbor setback. This is the new house will be pulling it away, so they want to pull it more toward the center of the 2 shore lots, which pushes it closer to the wetland. It's in the wetlands buffer. It will not be in the
so
wetlands.
who's gonna go, I'm just asking, is the building inspector is he gonna go out there and make sure these are like, the septic's okay and everything kind of meshes?
The septic is in place. There is a certified plot plan by a licensed land surveyor that was required because of the undersized lots and because there is a setback. So there is existing and proposed locations where the new home will be located once the other one is taken away. My understanding is that it is,
Have the lots been merged at this time of the lots merged?
there is a merger form, but it has not been recorded because it will not be recorded until after a decision is made tonight. In other words, if you vote no, then they will keep their lots separate. And they have that option.
Problem I see with this, if we approve this tonight, there's other people that are gonna come in, they're gonna willing to build in a wetland setback, and we start waiving wetland setbacks all the time, then we're getting into problems.
Well,
I know there's some lots on North River Lake waiting to be developed, and if we pull this here at, 5 or 10 feet out of the wetlands buffer, he's gonna expect the same thing, so we're setting a precedence, and I wanna put that out there right now.
Haven't we already?
well,
set-
I want to make one, if I could make one statement in response to that. It is the jurisdiction of the zoning board to look at wetland
understand
setbacks
that.
and the zoning ordinance. The purpose of tonight's meeting is under 674-41, a state law that says that the selectmen must review building permit applications when it's on a private or Class 6 road. The jurisdiction you have is based on your guidelines for granting those permits for access. Is based solely on the access to the lot and the condition of the roads, and that's the scope of what you're really looking at tonight is emergency vehicles, a number of other year-round homes, and those type of things. I agree with your comments completely, but it's something that should be addressed to the zoning board as far as relief from the zoning ordinance relative to wetland setbacks. The discussion tonight should be on access by emergency vehicles, ability to get to the location from an ambulance or a fire truck, turning radius, and I will also, if I can, add the comment that the planning board made a motion to send a memo to the fire department requesting them to respond for future information for both the planning board and board of selectmen relative to what they feel an adequate turning radius is. Can they access the roads up in Harvey Lake Estates? Can they get down them? Can their equipment move around? That was sent the next day. I have not heard a response yet, but that will be forthcoming for future decisions.
I was down there today, that road is in horrible condition, there's rocks sticking out of the road a foot high that a small car can't even drive over.
Can we, I'm just asking this question, and I think I know the answer, but if the ZBA is like voted to allow this, can we legally deny the building permit? I don't think we can.
You can legally deny the building permit if it does not fit the guidelines that you have, which are based on the specific criteria. I think it's been handed out a few times. I know you don't keep all this stuff in your head.
No, I know there is, but.
It's like
my next
1,000
question
feet,
is-
it's 1,000 feet from.
So this doesn't meet, this does not
none
meet
of
road ordinance, or conditions?
No.
That's where you would be able to
Doesn't.
have ground to say no. However, there are other stipulations relative to the amount of
that's a
year-round
lame
homes.
Making sure we don't get sued.
Well, I think that's a lame statement. Just because something is in horrible condition, you gotta keep going forward with it. I don't agree with that.
Oh, with the roads you're
Yeah.
talking about?
That was Laura's comment. I don't know if you've read that, but
The only other thing I would add, and this is just factual, I'm not saying one way or the other, it's your decision, but just so you have the facts, these folks have been in the pipeline for, I would say, 4 or 5 months that they've been, since the time they initially decided they were hoping to break ground in May and start construction to clean it up and go forward. So they certainly are awaiting a decision, so that they're hoping to be able to be in something that,
I
in
can
the new
sympathize
home.
with that, but it's not my problem.
No, I'm just explaining the circumstances. They have been in the pipeline for quite a while.
The thing is, we talked about this back along, and it's been a problem. We made a statement, what we were gonna do, and now we're gonna redo this. I was in there today. There's another 5 lots for sale in there. This thing isn't gonna go away. We approved this one, the next guy's gonna come in. There's already one in the pipeline right behind this one.
We had one
They were
last
before the
night.
zoning board last night. And then I drove through there today, there's 5 lots for sale in there, so this thing ain't gonna go away. We need to fix it somehow.
Is it possible to do the 674 before these things go to zoning board?
Well, that was what was supposed to be done when they came in. They were supposed to be notified that that was in effect and it wasn't given out.
Is that the policy, the 674 is going to come to us before it goes to?
Well,
That's what it was
what it
supposed to
was
be.
is that we
Is that the
discussed
chicken
it, and
before the egg?
you said, don't bring them to the board until after the zoning board had acted on them.
Oh,
I think that's
okay, well,
kind of
never mind
late.
then. That is kind of late.
I don't know
I
how that got
apologize.
about, but
So
I
we
don't
could
think
bring-
that's the
Well,
way it
it
was
did
supposed to
make
be.
sense, though, because the zoning board, they would have the right, they have the right to appeal
What's your
a
pleasure?
decision regardless. They could appeal the selectmen's decision tonight if they so choose.
So then they can go back to the zoning board and override us. That doesn't,
No,
Yeah.
well, if you don't sign that, what they can do, I think, is, they're gonna go to the state. They'll take legal action. So, basically, the questions you're asking is, do you want to,
It's an appeal to the ZBA.
yeah, they can appeal. So if we say no, they can appeal to the ZBA.
so what's the, so they can
But it's gonna make up
override
the
us.
ZBA.
So how does this ever end?
Drastically.
So how does it end if we deny it and the ZBA approves it?
Then they get their permit. That's the process. The zoning board is the body that hears appeals from administrative decisions.
So it's.
I didn't write it, Rick.
No, I know,
I'm just
but-
telling you the
I'll give you-
process.
We need to fix this problem.
I,
'Cause it's
and I
gonna
know,
keep coming.
I know we need to fix it, and I understand that, and, well, Rick, I can say this, we can take a stand and see what happens.
Well, if I could add another comment, I think your concerns relative to lot size, septic and all those should be addressed to the zoning board. The question about the road, which I think
The road is horrible.
definitely needs to be considered, is that back in March, the planning board increased the threshold for roads to be built on from a rural road standard to the subdivision standards. The voters approved that, so they actually raised the bar for road frontage in Northwood.
So where does this fall into it? Evidently, it falls through all the cracks.
Well, well, I can't speak for their decision, but I can say that the zoning board takes into consideration, when they vote, they take into consideration that these people are already driving to that lot. They're already going back and forth. It is a year-round. It's not a seasonal to a year-round. There's folks living in it. It's I think they said it was like a 1962 mobile home, that it'd be very difficult for them to replace it. They want to, so they came to the town and they're giving up lots, merging them in order to be able to gain what they, hope to achieve by having, they do have a state-approved septic. So when they came to the zoning board, they addressed a lot of the issues, and it was a give or take. I think and so as far as the road issue, it's not going to change. These people are still going to drive back and forth from their home out to Route 4, whether or not you approve this tonight.
So there's a mobile trailer there now.
Yes, there is. It's a
On the
year-round.
lakeside,
Yes, there is.
so they can use it now anyways.
They can use it now anyway. I think
I
that's
think this
some of
actually
the,
improves the
some of the
condition.
things that the zoning board,
Well, then we're
might
gonna
look at
approve
is
the
a-
next one and the next one and the next one.
I'm okay with taking,
We took a stance,
No,
or
no,
we
no,
started
no.
to take a
No,
stance a
no,
year
no,
ago.
I agree with you.
Now we're backing
No, no,
off on
no.
what we did.
I'm willing to, if you wanna give it a try, we can try it.
So if it's possible to bring the 674 first to the Board of Selectmen, that would eliminate the ZBA going through this whole process.
not necessarily, because they can
They can
still appeal
the
their
selectmen's
decision.
of
So it
that.
doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying, that's a
can, but-
never-ending battle.
They can, but at that
The
point,
harder-
the Selectmen have already said, no, we're saying no, so they're taking their stand right up front.
Right.
So that gives you your legal.
That sends a message to the zoning board relative to road frontage. But there may be
I mean, we
some,
can say no, and let them appeal it back to the ZBA. I mean, those are you got two options, we can approve it, or we can say no and let them go back to the ZBA, but then if the ZBA approves it, it's gonna go through anyways.
That's fine.
We have
Again,
a
I
different
really
makeup on the ZBA, and maybe they'll have a different outlook on this.
I really think a lot of your concerns, as far as in general about small lots and everything else, should be addressed to the zoning board. The other thing is that one of the options that, it's a big step, but the concept of getting a community block grant, or a betterment district, or something else that the selectmen can work, this isn't a problem that's gonna go away. And it doesn't seem to be being addressed. And there's hundreds of lots up there. I just got an email today, and I forwarded it to Joe. Someone asking questions about the road, somebody that just moved up there. What can we do? They're saying all these, they had the exact opposite thought. They said, we're so happy to see that some of these places have been cleaned up and new construction, and we're happy to live up here now. So it just depends on, you know, to those citizens that live in that area, for them to see the ability to clean up a situation where somebody has an older mobile, they've been living in it for many, many years, and they want to have a newer home, a small, modest home, they've merged, made the lots bigger. To the O's in the neighborhood, they see that as a positive thing.
It is in a way, but when you do nothing to the roads, and we're guilty ourselves. We own 5 properties in there that are completely unsafe, they're unboarded, there's garbage all over them, people are dumping bags of garbage on the lots. I was in there.
That was brought to
And-
our attention in that letter that I forwarded to
And-
Joe.
And it's worse than it was 6 months ago. I rode through there 6 months ago, I rode through there today, and the place is a disaster. There's 20 bags of garbage been dumped on an abandoned lot that we own, instead of someone taking it to the dump. There's furnitures, there's TVs dumped on another lot in there.
Do you wanna, I mean, everybody's got their concerns out
Probably got
here.
kicked out for not having a sticker.
Do you wanna,
I think it would be extremely helpful to the zoning board if you were willing to review these ahead of time. We can change
okay.
that
I'm willing,
process. I think it would be helpful
I
for
kind
them to
of,
get your
I
input.
kind of understand where Rick's coming from this, and I know that this is not gonna be the end of this. I kind of realize that.
There's other
But the
lots for
effort-
sale.
In an effort to move this along, as, I'll make a motion to, deny the application.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I think we discussed it enough.
All right, I'll call the vote.
So this is to deny it,
Yep,
okay?
all in favor? Aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for,
And I understand completely.
I do as well.
And,
I do as well.
but
I understand.
we need to, if we're gonna take a stand on these, we need to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's not gonna end. Like I said, I was in there today, there's 5 more lots for sale. The lots are 100 by 150, and how do you put a house on it that's 24 by 60 and put your septic system and everything on these lots? I admit this when the septic system's
It's
on
like
the other side
400
of the
more square
road.
feet. Sounds like they want to make it like 400 square feet bigger.
And the next one coming through is going up, and it's the same situation. I was at the ZBA meeting last night, and they denied them. Right now, anyway. All right, what are we gonna move on to, tickler file, or? you
No,
got
no, we
something
we
else?
still have approvals. Charlie Pease wanted to talk about roadside mowing and get approval for that.
All right, seeing he's not on the agenda, I'll let him speak. Come up to the table, Charlie.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't see any roadside on here.
Oh,
I went
no.
from miscellaneous to signatures to tickler
It was-
file.
I put them under miscellaneous. 'cause
I
he
didn't mean
wanted-
to omit you, Charlie.
That's all right. All right, last month I give you a purchase order for us to rent a mower, and you guys didn't like that, so I got 2 quotes. One of them I got a written quote, the other one didn't send me anything, but he gave me a price of $80 an hour. And this Suwall that we usually get, it's gone up to 85 this year. So that's 6,800. The other guy's a little cheaper, but he can't get here before the end of September.
So when can Mr. Sewell get here?
Suwall can get here probably the middle of August. Middle to late August.
2 weeks.
But we still can rent the tractor, if anybody's interested in doing that.
And how much is the tractor rental?
The tractor's about $1,600 cheaper, but we have to fuel it.
And we have to pay
So
the
we
guy to
feel
drive it.
It's it's the road, our staff time of doing the mowing.
Right.
I don't know what's your schedule like for, is that normally, we haven't mowed it in the past.
Right. I mean, we could, one of us would have to be in the mower for 2 weeks, or whatever.
So 2 weeks of your time.
Right.
So if you add that in as your, like an hourly rate, it's not really.
I
the
mean,
60.
technically, if we take 2 hours of your time,
2 weeks.
given, I'm sorry, 2 weeks, I'm sorry, 2 weeks of your time, is there any, and then you gotta look, what do you got for projects this summer that would like take away from those projects?
Now, we got quite a bit of stuff to do, but right now, we got a backhoe that's down, so we really ain't getting much done. I mean, we got brush to cut and all good stuff like that, but
So as road agent, is your recommendation to rent the unit?
I would like to try it, but I mean, I can't rent one until the end of August, 1st of September either, so.
I have one question. Are we liable for any damage to it as far as blades, or
No.
how does that work?
I don't believe so. I think they take care of that.
Really? Blades
Unless-
are included?
Unless it's some kind of accident or something.
Well, if you hit a rock and you dull the blade, what do we do then? Do we have them come out and sharpen it? I mean, that's my question about it.
Well,
I know those blades are
I can find that out
expensive.
for sure.
and-
I'm not 100% sure of that, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's the only question I have about it.
Do we have the money to, how much higher was it than last year if we go up to?
$5 an hour.
$5 an hour more.
So how many hours do we normally do? What did we do last year for hours? 80?
Which what we figure is
So
80.
80 times $400 more to put it out than it was last year. How are the roads? Do we have, you think we're gonna spend all the money that's in the budget? There's plenty to do.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll be busy for 2 weeks.
There's plenty to do.
Yeah. So,
What's your pleasure?
there you go.
I mean,
My thing is if we put it out to bid, we know what we're getting done. If we rent one, and let's just say we rent it for 2 weeks and something happens in that 2 weeks that's outside of our realm of control where we have
so you
to.
prefer contracting it
I'm not
out?
saying I prefer anything, let me finish.
Oh,
Easy.
I'm saying that if something happens outside of our realm, that, say we have to take our highway department and their labor to go do something, tornado, whatever, happens during that 2 weeks, we lose that time, then we have to either rent it for another week or our roads don't get done. But if we bid it out, we know what's getting done. It's gonna get done regardless.
Well, if we have a tornado,
That's just
we
my
won't need them
concern.
all. Huh? If we have a tornado, we won't eat them all.
I know.
Right, but it's just
I'm
my,
gonna sound a little.
But it won't hit the whole town.
I don't really have, I don't have a preference. I kinda like the idea of contracting it out anyways, because that frees them up to do other stuff. I mean, I guess I'm asking you, which way would you rather go?
personally, I think contract is more, like, we know it's gonna get done. I'm not saying it's not gonna get done the other way, but,
If you wanna make that motion, I'll second it.
all right, I'll motion to, do we have a contract name?
Well, you got,
Sewell.
Sue All? Are we gonna reward it to that one or the cheaper one? Or is that the one you
I
recommend?
actually like
I'll go
the
by with
fact
what you
that,
recommend.
I like the fact that somebody actually gives us a written quote, preferred that somebody's like, I don't wanna fill the paperwork out.
Well, the other guy didn't mind doing that, he just said that he couldn't do it till the end of September, and
But
I
I
told
think we're
him,
looking to get it done a little earlier, right?
by the end of September,
I
you might
mean-
do nothing.
If it's only $5 more, this guy has done it for us before, and we've liked his work, I'm not gonna,
The only question I have about Mr. Sewell is, I noticed last year when he mowed, he show up at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and he was gone by 3:30 in the
But
afternoon.
we
and
only pay him per the hours?
Well, hopefully,
That's what we're
hopefully, but I don't know how that turned out. Charlie would have a better idea than that,
And
not to
what
put
is-
Charlie
keep
on
track
spot.
How many hours he's like, kinda keep track of?
Well, Joe had an idea that he usually leaves the tractor here, so if he comes here and goes in and checks in here, when he comes in and checks in when he leaves, then we got an idea.
We're on
where-
track his time this time.
Right.
Well, if that's the case, I don't have a problem with it, but I just know last year, he seemed more erratic than he was the year before, about when he showed up, when he came and left.
Yep.
I don't have any more questions.
He's cutting up old Bonset Road by Freddie Bassett's house, would it pay him to drive his tractor down there every night?
I guess so. That's what he did last year.
He drives all over town,
Is there certain roads priority, Charlie, or is everything?
pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Gets as much done as we can, because he didn't do some of that in last year because he did some
Want this?
other stuff.
You need one of these? or-
it seems you got the paperwork, and I'll
I have no
second it.
more comments.
Oh, did you wanna make the motion?
Well, you got it right there. I mean, what's the difference?
Sure, I'll make a motion to hire Sewell Enterprises for 80 hours of mowing at $85 an hour, on the condition that we track his time in the amount of $6,800.
Second. For discussion. Any more discussion?
I guess not, I was thinking about something else.
Well, what's your thoughts?
What do you think?
No, I'm all right with it, I just, I gotta, just let me think
I mean,
for a
I hate-
second. I guess I'm all set. Aye.
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 This is 3-0.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a raffle permit for the Northwood Republican Town Committee. They're doing a 50/50 cash raffle, price per ticket is $1 per ticket. The drawing date is the day of the Beanhole Bash.
So that means they'll probably be selling them at the Beanhole Bash.
Yes, that's a good
Assumption.
assumption.
Second for discussion.
Second.
I have no discussion.
I just,
You
quick
have any?
question, kind of late to be okaying it, that doesn't give them a long time to sell it.
They,
I think it's great, but
I,
Sure, they just gotta roll the tickets.
for the,
are they selling them right there? Is that what they're waiting
For
for?
the, for the record, I happen to go to, I'm a member of this,
Yeah,
which, you
I
know,
think it's a good idea, just
but
wondering why they waited so long.
they got the permit and they can't sell raffle tickets till we approve it,
Uh-huh.
and we haven't had a meeting in
No,
quite some
that's
time.
just
Right,
fine.
I agree with it.
So,
I'm good.
That's why I said,
That's
if
just wondering why
if
it
we
was-
sign it
why
tonight,
was
they
like
wanna
a
start
week
selling
delay.
tomorrow, I don't have a problem
they
with
could
it.
That was my
decide,
question, is
yes.
why they waited so long.
no, they actually got this in a little while ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
I have no question. Do you have something you wanna say, Joe?
Yeah, actually, I would request the board, I know the town administrator before me signed these documents, just because people would come in and say, I want to have a meeting, or I want to have a raffle, but then they would wait 2 weeks, and then they would miss their
I
chance.
don't, Joe, I'm gonna, not cut you off, but, well, maybe I am. Actually, these are required to be signed by the Board of Selectmen, so the town administrator can't approve these.
I know
Like,
the
for
last
exa-
guy did,
for
so I'm
exa-
just saying.
For example, like, there's a couple POs that we got tonight that you technically can approve, but they, like, unless they were warrant, I don't know.
Warrant articles. No, I got it.
But I think the fact that this is only valid if we sign it.
Same. The last
So-
administrator signed those.
He might have gave him the okay and then brought it to the meeting, but I think that by statute, we have to approve these.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. What else we have?
It's reimbursement from the state for the taxes that should be levied on the park.
So, I make a motion. Basically, we gotta sign this, right, to get our money.
Yep.
So basically, on Northwood Meadow State Park and Woodman State Forest, it's kind of in lieu of property taxes that state gives us, gotta put my glass on, it's small print. We get $552.80. Wait a second, that's the number of acres. So we fill this out, and then the Department of Revenue figures out how much we're gonna get?
Yes.
Okay,
So they tell us how much they're
so
gonna pay us.
we gotta sign this. Okay, I got it,
It's how much tax money we should have got if the state didn't own it.
yeah. Well, they don't actually give us what we should have got.
No, it's
They
it's
give us
less,
a-
significantly less.
So I'll make a motion that we, sign this in order to, facilitate us, getting some money back from the state.
Can we use it for tax write-off?
What?
I can use it to pay him back for lifeguards. Second.
All right. So,
I have no problem. Any more discussion?
yeah, so no more
See no
discussion.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we gotta sign this before they even look at it, right?
Yeah, we're signing
we'll
it open. The state wouldn't do that for us, though.
No.
So, yeah, I gotta, don't they usually give us the amounts and then, wait, let me read it.
That seems a little bit, it's the state, so I guess we can't balk.
Okay.
I think it's $500 in cash.
Well, no, it's, all right, hold on, no, this is the, number of acres per dread. It's not, that's not
Sorry,
how much money we
that's
get.
not on here.
That's not the money, that's the acres.
Oh, that's just the acres.
Yeah, there's no dollar amount on there.
Yeah.
So my question is,
That guy back there is telling me he had an appointment, and it isn't on here, we haven't done it.
Which one?
I was under the understanding that there was gonna be an appointment of an assistant recreation director here tonight.
I had heard that too, but I don't know. It's not, no, I appreciate you interrupting, it's not on the list. I wish I'd known earlier, I wouldn't have made the man sit there for all the time he's been
you
here.
wanna you can recognize him, Mr. Chairman, and we can, since he's here tonight, you
We
can.
need to
okay.
finish this first,
All
and then
right.
we will.
I guess, I have seen okay.
We're a little confused
So,
right now.
No, yeah, we are. I'll admit that. So we have to fill this out, and then they tell us how much we're gonna get.
The assessor's gonna review it, and then it's going to,
Wouldn't the assessor be able to, do this and then come back and give us an amount?
yeah, if you want him to do it.
Wouldn't you rather have the amount before we sign this?
I would, but
Is it, unless Mrs.
it hasn't been that bad, you had to leave your
Whatever you
coffee
guys
cup.
want, you the
So you want us
bosses,
to sign a blank page?
So confusing that.
to get money.
To what?
Sorry. She said we're very confusing.
Okay.
Can't please everybody.
Can't please everybody. Okay, I got two more things, guys, and then the non-public. We have a lot in non-public, that's why
We're
we
gonna
were
do
waiting.
him in non-public?
He's a non-public,
Oh, really?
Who's a non-public?
The hire?
the rec.
Can I make a
Why would that
recommendation?
have to be non-public?
Why is he non-public? He
Can I
wants
make a
to be on the rec commission, right?
No,
he
he
wants
wants
to be
to,
hired on. Can I make
hired to take
Oh,
Mike, what's his name?
sorry.
Can I make a suggestion? From now on, whenever we have a hire, maybe you make them the first appointment.
We usually do, but there's a lot in non-public, so instead of jumping in and out of
I
non-public.
understand what you're saying, and I appreciate you that, but, I mean, it's already been a long meeting, but if we could just bang that out real quick in the beginning and go back to non-public later, it'd be beneficial. But it's just a thought, it's just a recommendation. That's all. Take it
Okay,
however.
you guys got two more things to do in public.
All right,
What do you
move
wanna
it.
do?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Get it over with.
Actuarial services. This is the contract you agreed to. This is just the, what you call that?
This is us accepting the contract.
Yeah,
For
And I
who?
believe just the chairman signs this.
it does.
Who's this for?
It's for the actuarial service.
Make a motion to allow the chairman to sign this contract for the actuarial
Actuarial
service
services.
agreement. I need a second.
I'll second. Wait, did I move it?
No,
you
I
moved
moved
I'll
it. I was-
second it.
Any more discussion?
Aye.
Seeing none, I'll call the vote, aye. Passes 3-0. Been a rough night.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
Okay,
You guys need to decide whether you want to rebuild, replace, or repair that bridge. We could put that off for another meeting if you want to.
Yeah, why don't we?
You want to?
That's the bridge on the upper,
Old Canterbury, yeah.
oh, Canterbury,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the one I was thinking.
well, we were gonna replace it, weren't we?
Well, I don't know.
Not
We
Bow
never
Lake?
made a decision.
Bow Lake?
We did on Bow Lake, but we never made one on Old
Oh,
Canterbury.
this is on Old Canterbury.
Right.
Gotcha.
That was where I was confused earlier too.
Unless you wanna do it tonight.
No, I think we'll.
I'd like to look at some of the information, and see what condition
It's
it's
quite a
in
big
and stuff.
difference to repair.
Do
Yeah,
we have any,
That's all I got for you.
selectmen's comments?
we're gonna do them first before we go into non-public.
We're just looking at, some of the roads in town, and, I'm actually, I think we're going in the right direction, but I have noticed that some of the roads that we only did like a couple years ago, and I'm wondering, one of my concerns is if we can address this, is the way they pave, there always seems to be like, after like 2 years, 3 years, a split right down the middle of the road.
Isn't that the way?
So,
On the seams, yeah, no,
yeah,
it's cracks.
so my question is, and I go back to this, because there was a decision that says we got, if we top coat the roads, wouldn't that seal that split?
Doesn't it have to have a split in it for some reason? Don't
No.
they have to
Why?
overlap?
I mean,
No.
Because I noticed they do that on the regular roads.
No, because whenever I see
I don't
it,
know anything about paving, so
no,
I'm
but
just
whenever
asking.
I see this, there's a split in the road, and what I see over the years, being living in this town,
Gets
it
bigger and
starts
bigger
out
and bigger.
split, and that split just gets bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
And my question is, and I'm not a construction person, I actually did do paving a little bit when I was in college for a job, but, my understanding is, why can't they lay something over there to prevent that from cracking? I see it all the time, it's like they run a layer up, and then they run a layer down, and,
They do it on all the roads, not just ours
yeah,
too.
I mean, so what I'm seeing,
The
like.
problem is, we're not breaking the seams far enough. You need the overlap,
Yeah, but why aren't they doing it?
because we're not paying to have it done, probably, that's probably why.
You're
We're not
talking about-
spending enough money.
You're talking about Bow Lake Road.
It costs
Yeah.
more money to,
Yeah, but,
So to that point, we actually, every time we pave now, we tell them we want that seam tight. And they've done good. Bow Lake Road, we've talked to them about this. They're gonna come back this year and redo that seam because they messed it up. And they acknowledge that.
so when are they gonna do it?
Sometime this summer. We haven't paid them their last check for
right,
So they are gonna
Deerfield.
fix that?
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
that-
supposed to fix that.
I just wanted
That's
to
an
bring
error.
it, I just wanted to bring it up because I see it all the time, and it's like, wow, we just did this road. The road's still good condition, but
It's opening up in the
It's
middle.
opening up in the middle.
Yep, no, that's an error and they're gonna fix that. We've already
Problem
addressed
too
that.
is button your joint to joint. You're always gonna get that. If you don't,
But, yeah, that's my point, is they
Offset
should
your
do somewhere
joints.
they go over there and kind of overlay it. That's the only, it's not comment on it.
if you watch the state, when they put down one coat, when they put down
Oh, they
another
go
coat,
down
they
the
break the
middle.
joints.
Yeah, they actually go.
They offset 'em.
They come boom.
So you don't have joint over joint over joint.
It was like 24 feet, 12 and 12. They'll do a 12 and a 12, but the next time they'll do a 14 and an 8. You know what I mean?
They break the joints.
15 here, then they'll top coat over like 2 feet. We have
That
a
way
top
they're-
coat.
Well, my other.
That
my
way
other
their
concern
joints
when
aren't
we're
right
talking
over
about
each other.
roads, just to get this in, it's my understanding, we talked, I mean, this might be a month or two ago, but we said there was a decision not to top coat the roads, and I never realized that we made that decision. I thought we were gonna do top coating.
We don't have any money to top
No,
coat.
we
We've
did
spent
make that
all the money
decision.
doing what we
But
did.
what I'm saying is, are we gonna go back next year and start top coating some of these roads?
I think that was the
You
plan.
have to talk to the highway committee about that.
Well, they're
They're-
they're
I know they're advisory, but that's something that we need to talk
I
about.
thought that was the
then.
plan that we had discussed. I know we
Yeah,
had
I just
talked
wanna
about it.
make sure, cause if we're going in the right direction, actually getting some of these roads fixed, I don't wanna
Two
see
by
them
Don't wanna lose them.
deteriorate as quick as they were in previous years.
Yeah, we don't wanna lose them, but that's a decision that has to be made.
Even if you just seal coat like a 6-inch swath like I was looking at.
Yeah, that's right where basically the yellow line, follow the yellow lines and then repaint the yellow lines.
So I'll defer to my, other selectmen now, so they have the
Go ahead, Vic.
I made a request back along about some parking signs at Lucas Pond for handicapped people. They put the signs up, and the problem is, from those signs up the hill, everybody parks. And the cop says the only way he can enforce it, if there's a sign up that says no parking above that. That way they can't park all the way down the boat ramp.
All right.
And I don't think it's a big deal. There's plenty of old signs out by the road there that say no parking. We can pull one up, stick it in there, and then they can enforce it. But right now, they say they can't enforce it because it isn't posted.
We can drop another sign in there.
Another thing, the park and ride is a problem. The kids are hanging in there. The place is a mess. The guy was down there, picked it up Monday morning. I saw him. Today, it looks like he was never there. The kids go in there, you know, and I like the kids. I'm for the kids. I don't want to chase them out of town. I stopped there myself and spoke to a few kids. I asked them nicely, and they said they would pass the word that, you know, you guys got to try to police this place a little bit. It's, no, you know, it looks bad, and, you know, they said, oh, we'll pass the word, because I know the last time when they were loitering down there, Glenn wanted to post it, no loitering for more than 15 minutes, and we said no, because at that point, he come back, he can drive them off, or they can arrest him for loitering. And I don't want to see that happen to our kids. I'm just hoping that some of the parents might be listening, and if their kids hang out there, kind of ask them nicely to, you know, help police the area. And I know it's not all the kids. I know there's people that dump their ashtray there with 100 cigarette butts in it. It's not all the kids, it's grown-ups too. And I just wanted to put that out there, that hopefully we can come to a happy medium, and, you know, it's, like everybody says, it's a gateway to Northwood in the past, and I just think it's a big problem that the place is always a mess.
No, it is.
I don't know if there's anything we can do, but, and I don't want to do anything right now. I'd like to give people a fair chance to try to clean it up and do it on their own or whatever. I know I mentioned putting a garbage can down there before, and they thought that would create a bigger problem, and, but if anybody has any suggestions, I'd entertain them at any time. And I know they have been into the guy's shed behind the park and ride, and they've been around the Mason Hall, and it's only a matter of time before I see no trespassing signs up there now, and it's gonna become a problem.
You guys have any rules, like everybody out by 11, if you're not like coming and going, you hang out there till 2 o'clock in the morning and talk to your friends?
We have nothing posted. And as far as cars being left there, we need to work on that, because we have nothing posted. People abandon their cars there for months at a time. Yeah, they leave them there for 2-3 months.
They do?
Yeah.
There's a truck there.
We plowed around it all winter.
Like a whole stack of cars we got. 4
Yeah, and then he posted on Facebook that somebody broke out his windows while it was parked there overnight.
Can you tow it after a certain amount
Well,
of
if we
time?
post it, we can, but it's not posted, so legally the police can't enforce it. So that's something we need to talk about. We got people waiting. We can talk about this another time.
I would just, I
Done.
have one quick one. I received a few complaints from some town employees about some conduct that's been going on in the town hall, with the administrator and the employees. I think it's something, personally have had issues in the same department. I think it's something that as a board we need to discuss further. I mentioned this last week and it wasn't discussed. I'm gonna mention it again. The last meeting, I'm gonna mention it again. I think it's time that we have this discussion. And that's all I have.
I guess that's all.
You ask him to take more public comment?
Yep, that's what I was gonna do. Would anybody else like to speak?
One more thing, let you get out of it. I was watching your June 27th meeting, and did you ever find the zero-turn mower? You said it was at the dump, you said it's out back. We know that is, right?
It's in the town shed.
And,
Unless it's been moved. I saw it there a week
I
ago.
watch it a lot of times on the weekend.
Still not being used.
You know? But another thing is, I don't know, Pete, what's the temperature of your road, Mr. Bryan?
Yeah.
The catch basin on the corner, I get a video, you go up that road to the first house, and then after the first house on the left, you got the pavement, nice shoulder gravel, the ditch is all like filled in with gravel, and then up on the high side,
A berm.
it's probably a berm with dirt that much. Good strong rain, I don't know,
Actually, what happened,
I know it got washed out.
got washed,
It came
they
back.
got washed out and it came back and they packed it all down.
And it's still there, because I took the video probably like a week ago. Go home tonight, it's probably, dark, but from the catch basin up to that first driveway, and then probably another 50, 100 feet after that first house on the left, you got the this is the road, the ditch, and you come back up, and it's probably knee-high in some spots with the gravel that should have been hauled away.
A breakdown.
You can't even cuff it off, because it'll fill the ditch. First good rainstorm, all that's gonna come down and fill that catch basin.
How far up the road?
Once you
Right
turn on
after
your
the catch
road,
basin.
You got the catch basin in the corner.
I know the catch.
Right from the catch basin up to that first house on the left.
Up beyond
probably another
McKee's.
100 feet after that house.
There's a pile of,
It's
berm,
on the high
yeah.
side, it's on the opposite side of the people's
on
side.
the other side.
It should have been excavated out of there. I went up around the whole thing, all definitely because I noticed, all looks good, but.
You have Charlie go up there, take a look at that.
just wrote it
So
down.
it's
Let
gonna
Charles take a
go
look
to
at
that
it.
catch basin, and that catch basin go across to the chimney sweep guy.
Yeah.
We know how he and she can be, so.
We don't wanna fill her stream full of gravel.
But no, I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Seeing no public comment, I'm gonna close it. Moving on to appointments. Or non-public.
Yep.
I'm making a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A,
3.
A32, A and B.
Second.
Take
Is
a roll,
everybody leaving? Except myself.
take a roll call.
Paul Hutchin,
All in
aye.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
So
To
now
go into
non-public.
non-public.
I'll make a motion to come out of non-public.
Second.
We
Roll
got a
call.
roll call.
DJ Hutchin, aye.
Aye.
Rick Wolf, aye.
And
Motion passes 3-0.
then I'll make a motion to seal the non-public minutes.
Second.
Aye. Call roll call.
Aye.
I'd like to, what is this person's name? The fire,
Oh, Adam Schob.
Adam
Schob.
I'd like to make a motion to, move Adam Schob from labor grade 9, step 7, to labor grade 9, step 8. So that would be 17, to a hourly rate of $17.28. And the reason for this increase is because Adam successfully completed his
EMT.
level A EMT.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you to Adam for pursuing a better career. Other than that, that's it.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
So I'd like to make this one effective on a background check. Brandon, am I pronouncing this right? Yao?
Oh?
Yao?
I don't know, I didn't hear.
Brandon Yao, Northwood Recreation, the league coordinator at a rate of $11.46. It's a part-time job, pending a background check.
I'll second that. Now that's based on what, 600 and something hours a year?
640 or something she
640
said.
hours a year.
I think she said 640.
Let me look just so we don't have it.
So we got a motion, we got a
Yep.
second.
Yep.
Is there any more?
460 hours.
460, I was dyslexic.
Close.
I said 640.
I think she said 642 when she was here. She must have just had it backwards. Dyslexic moment. We all have them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Do we need to sign this yet?
Yeah, and then,
Gotta do this one, DJ. And I'll second it.
All right, I'll make a motion to hire effective 7/13/2017 Taylor Breyer to the lifeguard position at the rate of $9.51 an hour.
I'll second that. For discussion, any discussion?
for the record, I'm gonna step away from the table.
I'll call for the vote. All
Aye.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Scott recused himself. The motion passes 2-0. Welcome back to the table.
You get to sign it or no?
No, I'm not gonna sign it. I just don't think
No,
it's
that's
right.
fine, that's
No,
fine.
it's fine, I agree, but that's,
We didn't want you to feel left out. Did somebody say-
oh, these are new. When'd you start doing these?
I don't know.
When'd you start doing these?
The rec director's, that's her format, she likes to use it.
It's actually a good idea.
Yeah,
Kinda like
keeps- Yeah, it keeps it straight for her.
I think we should do that for everybody.
Joe, this in the basket.
I kinda like it.
That's a letter from,
Yes. Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that.
no. He'll,
Tomorrow morning.
he'll,
Was there anything else we were supposed to do?
Just
Those three, right?
those three.
That was it? Let me look. Oh, yes, you guys are good. That's all I have for you guys today.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.